It's been a while since I made a pour over coffee in the morning. I gave up caffeine in the form of coffee 3 years ago. So now I have a cup of coffee maybe twice a month. This seems like a perfect morning to make a cup. I have some new coffees I am excited to try. But first, I'd like to clean my grinder. I use the Baratza Encore. It doesn't get a lot of usage, so I tend to clean it out once every few months. Seems to be sufficient. I also run grinds through it. This helps bind to the coffee oils and remove excess chaff that I just can't reach. It's a process that maybe takes half an hour, and I hand wash all of the things that can be removed, not including the burrs. For the burrs, I will take a toothpick and carefully remove any coffee buildup along the edges. Then I'll take a cleaned brush, clean in and around the rest of the burrs, and vacuum out what I can. I'll also use alcohol wipes to really get in the grooves of the burrs. You don't want to wash them, get water in there, because it can cause damage or rust to the burrs, and I always make sure that everything is completely dry before I reassemble it. Then I'll add a cap of grinds through, then a small batch of beans, discard that, and I should be ready to go. I'm excited for my coffee, but I still want to go a little less on the caffeine content. So this is me looking up a ratio for a good pour over. I've been a barista working in specialty coffee for 15 years, and I still have to look up ratios. Ultimately, I went with a 1:16 ratio, 15 grams of coffee to 240 grams of water. That seems to be a pretty classic standard ratio to go with. I didn't want too much liquid, so I went with a lower liquid count. This is all, for reference, my specialty shop I worked in a long time ago. We used 23 grams of coffee to 360 grams of water, so the content was a lot more. Let's move on. I grind the beans and immediately notice that something is wrong with my grinder. The beans are way too coarse and uneven. I have no choice but to open up the beast again. I wasted some delicious smelling beans. But alas, this is the price we pay. I inspect my grinder again, opening it up, and realize that I had set my burrs on backward. So after fixing them and running some tester beans through, now my grinder is ready. I start pouring about 50 grams of water for a 45-second bloom, letting all that CO2 out before beginning the rest of the pours in 50-gram increments until getting to 240. This brew took a little under 3.5 minutes, and I was excited for this one. I could smell the sweetness coming from the steaming cup. I could smell the extra attention to detail and care that I put into this cup. That element of attention to detail and that feeling of making every customer's drink as if I was making it for myself is what was really important to me as a barista, more than the milk that I was steaming or the beans that I was pulling. Honestly, it bordered on obsessive. It made me slower than my other coworkers, and ultimately a bit difficult for them to team up with me to help me on bar because of the strict way that I organized myself. I was working on the drink in front of me, but I was already 8 steps ahead. Anyway, let me move on. I brought my coffee to my office. Who am I kidding? It's a desk in the bedroom. My dog followed at my heels, and I had my first sip, careful to temper my expectations, because they can get ahead of me. It was delicious. Like just the edges of a fruit-forward kid cereal without being overpowering. It was heady, bright, teasing sweetness while still being grounded in the flavor that is coffee. Smooth, palatable, great with toast. There was no shyness, no dryness. I had finally made an acceptable pour over. For reference, I made a Chemex a few weeks ago, and it was a bitter disappointment. Pour overs, hand drips, they were never my specialty. Always struggled with them for some unknown reason. This coffee was juicy. The fruit notes played in the background with every sip in this smooth jazz of drink. I sat back and drank it fully, so as to enjoy its complexity without anything in the way to dilute its focus. To sit and drink a coffee, to experience it, to understand it. The sweetness hangs on my tongue long after the last drop. You see, heat can hide the flaws in a coffee. As it cools, suddenly further complexities are revealed. A cooled coffee may suddenly turn bitter or dry or entirely off-putting. But a cooled coffee that maintains itself as a delectable drink, despite any temperature drops it may go through, that is a well-made coffee. One you can keep drinking as it cools, as its profile continues to shift and evolve. It does not suddenly drop into dryness. This coffee maintains that. So I drank it, enjoyed it through the temperature changes. And what a good morning it was, with the pages before me and the coffee, a discipline in the passing of time. I don't know why this got so serious talking about coffee. I was just oddly moved by this brew that I had made. So anyway, that's all for this one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for tuning in.